Right now on the National Weather Desk, heavy rain triggers flooding in Texas, and more could be on the way today.
There were evacuations ordered in Menard because of the rapidly rising water on the streets.
Dense fog shrouded buildings across the South this week. Why was it so thick?
Warm, humid air from the Gulf moves across cooler coastal waters.
Last year's bomb cyclone hit the power grid hard in western Washington. What has been done to help keep the lights on?
Additional substations can help us reroute power.
See the rescue of fishermen who ignored warnings about rough surf.
He was really kind of disoriented, had been shaken up by the whole ordeal.
Plus, a sneak peek at the Thanksgiving week forecast.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. More rain is in the forecast for central Texas today, one day after up to 10 inches fell in some places. There was intense flooding in the town of Menard on Thursday, which is north and west of both Austin and San Antonio. An estimated 6 to 9 inches of rain fell in just 6 hours. And the good news for now is that the areas that flooded in July have not seen a repeat from this round of storms. Farrah Walton spoke with survivors of those floods, and they told her they will be keeping their eyes on the sky all day.
The water was already about right here, right this spot, about 5 foot, and it got even higher.
We spoke with him back in July after water rushed through the resort with little warning.
I mean, it went over quick, and it started flooding inside, and people was just stuck. It's sadness.
He says nearly 2/3 of the RVs, including his own, had to be replaced. Parts of central Texas, including Travis, Williamson, and the Hill Country, remain under a weather alert, and flooding is still a concern.
There is a low-end severe threat and also a continuation of potential heavy downpours.
The heaviest rain today fell about 150 miles to our west.
There were evacuations ordered in Menard earlier today because of the rapidly rising water on the streets.
CBS Austin meteorologist Michael Crowley says most of the weekend looks rather quiet.
Then on Sunday, we have another round of those heavy downpours possible.
For those still rebuilding, the goal is to stay alert.
Just stay on top of it. I don't want to go through another one of these that July.
Dense fog is once again shrouding many southern cities. Fog has been a major issue all week, especially in the south. These shots are from the Gulf Coast, and in many, you can see only a few buildings poking through the fog. Dense fog advisories are posted this morning from northern Florida to the Tennessee Valley and even the Midwest. Meteorologist Marion Caldwell explained what's causing the fog across the coast.
Several days this week along the Gulf Coast, people have been waking up to dense fog. And the fog that we've been seeing is most likely sea fog, which forms when warm, humid air from the Gulf moves across cooler coastal waters and slightly cooler land near the shoreline. Because the air is already packed with moisture and the nights have been mild and cloudy, it doesn't take much cooling for it to reach its dew point. And as that warm Gulf air moves over a cooler surface, a shallow layer of fog develops over the water and then drifts inland with the light onshore breeze. And with winds staying very light or even calm, that fog layer stays trapped near the ground, which is why it's been hanging on for so long. The morning cloud cover slows down that warming that we need to help it evaporate, and the humidity has been so high that the air does stay pretty saturated through the later part of the morning hours. But once the sun gets a little bit higher and we start to see some mixing, that fog gradually lifts. But as long as the air stays warm and humid, moving in from the Gulf, more foggy mornings are likely.
All this week, our station in Seattle has been looking back at the bomb cyclone that struck western Washington 1 year ago. This morning, meteorologist Stella Sun looks at the impact the massive storm had on the power grid.
On the night of November 19th, 2024,
we saw the trees start to fall.
Destructive winds from a bomb cyclone blowing down trees, killing 2 women, damaging roughly 600 homes and businesses.
We had 9 trees fall across the back of the house, and they fell in a domino fashion.
The governor's office says the cost of repairs topping $41 million across 9 counties. 1 year later, the storm's fury is still being felt.
We are just finishing up, I hope, in December before Christmas, putting the kitchen back together.
The power grid crippled by the widespread damage everywhere. More than 500,000 Washingtonians were left in the dark.
Snohomish Public Utilities improving the power grid, adding transmission lines and substations.
Additional substations can help us reroute power through different lines so that customers, maybe they were getting power through this particular line where the tree fell down. Now by opening up some fuses and rerouting, they can get power from another direction.
Puget Sound Energy, acknowledging its website and outage map, did not provide timely restoration information during the storm, implementing improvements to how it communicates outages and restoration time to families.
It was 8 days, and we didn't have the ability to leave because we had pets and the house was sitting empty. We didn't have any power like anyone else, and that's another thing. Now I'm going to have a generator and a power bypass because this is something that we don't want to go through again.
Well, 30 years ago today, one of the largest tornado outbreaks took place in the south and southeast. Meteorologist Evan Chikvera looks back at what's become known as the November tornado outbreak of 1992.
Here's a good reminder that we are in our tornado season. Let's go back to November of 1992. A severe weather outbreak unfolds across 13 states in the span of 41 hours. 94 tornado tracks were identified, 26 fatalities, 641 injuries, 15 were rated F3 or higher, 6 of those being an F4. And we had a track in North Carolina that was 160 miles long, another F4 track in Mississippi that had a distance of 128 miles. Ultimately, Mississippi was the hardest hit state in all of this. 16 tornadoes were documented, tracked across the state, including 2 F4s. One of those had a track of 128 miles, on the ground for 128 miles. The other had a mile-wide path at one point and was on the ground for another 40 miles. 1992 now stands just behind 2004 and 2005 for the most November tornadoes going back to 1950.
And we are now just 5 days from Thanksgiving. Between now and then, tens of millions of people will hit the roads and take to the skies, heading home for the holiday. Meteorologist Lindsay Storrs has a look at the forecast for the busy travel days ahead.
Travel for the Thanksgiving holiday really picks up this weekend. I wanted to take a look at the country and any potential travel issues you might run into each day. Let's start with Saturday. No travel issues countrywide. You might run into a little bit of rain in Arizona, but that's about it. That little storm is going to move into the southern plains by Sunday, and you could run into some snow in the Rockies if you're traveling along I-70 that day. Other than that, though, no travel issues. That storm then moves into the Mississippi River Valley by Monday, just producing some rain with some wind behind it. Nothing that should prevent you from getting to your destination that day. On Tuesday, it pushes over into the mid-Atlantic states, but you can see that it's still mainly rain. We could have a little bit of snow, though, across Idaho and portions of Montana and Wyoming. Some of that snow works its way into the Rockies on Wednesday, which is the busiest travel day of the year. But other than that, really no travel issues across the country.
Mount Washington in New Hampshire is not a place to visit on Thanksgiving, but it is having quite a November. The mountain, which is home to the world's worst weather, has received 5 feet of snow in just the first 3 weeks of the month, making it the second snowiest November in history. This morning, it feels like 4 degrees at the summit, and another inch of snow could fall later today. Time now to check the weather in cities across the nation, and today we are starting in Flagstaff, 7,000 feet above sea level in Arizona. Take a look at this. This time lapse shows snow that fell in the city yesterday morning before eventually melting. There could be more snow tomorrow with temperatures in the low 40s. And next we turn to Los Angeles, where a horned owl took in the views of downtown LA. There's a chance of light rain today, but sunny skies return just in time for the weekend. And check out this dramatic sunrise around Washington State's Mount Rainier earlier this week. The 14,400-foot mountain is the highest peak in the Cascades. In nearby Seattle, it will be a cloudy Friday with highs in the 50s. And finally, look at this. Bushkill Falls in Pennsylvania's Pocono Mountains is actually a series of 8 waterfalls, the tallest of which is over 100 feet high. It will be cloudy day in eastern Pennsylvania with highs only in the low 50s. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll show you the daring rescue of several fishermen in San Diego. We'll be right back.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with Look at the Northeast. We're tracking a range in temperatures in the Northeast today. There'll be parts of New York, northern New Jersey that's getting to the 50s. Parts of northern New England will actually stay in the 30s. Expect skies to be brightest during the morning hours today. Clouds, they're going to win out during the course of our afternoon. That's 1 o'clock. There's a front that's moving through New York and through the Green Mountains, the White Mountains, and the Western Mountains of Maine that may touch off a shower. Mostly sunny skies return Saturday.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Bailey. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. It's going to be Cloud City again to start your Friday and likely end it, as we'll see another disturbance rolling through to bring showers as well. Behind this front, we'll actually get to some cooler air and finally some sunshine to return to the region by Saturday afternoon. In the 50s, mid-50s for highs on Friday despite the clouds. Even after that system clears, it looks like we will see sunshine, but it will still be cooler behind that front, 40s to low 50s.
I'm meteorologist Charlotte Carl. It is going to be another comfortable and mild day. A few of us, especially closer to I-40, are going to be a little bit above average for your Friday. Low 70s, mid 70s, upper 70s, and low 80s across the board. Really no one in the 60s for your Friday afternoon. We're preparing for our two fronts that are on the way, bringing some showers and storms across parts of the southeast Friday into the overnight hours of Saturday.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Dangerous waves and turbulent conditions led to a dramatic rescue in San Diego. Two men went into the ocean despite a direct warning from lifeguards. They quickly found out why they should have listened. Ryan Hill has that story.
I think having a healthy fear of the ocean is what makes lifeguards such great watermen, is that we know and we see what the ocean can do to us.
San Diego lifeguard Patrick McVan giving that knowledge to a group of spear fishermen in La Jolla. They were about to jump in the ocean just as last Friday's storm started.
The surf went from about 4 to 6 foot to about 6 to 8 foot over the course of about 3.5 hours. Me and my partner Austin, we came down and decided to have a conversation with them. We said, hey guys, today's probably just not the day for it.
McVan tells me one of the spear fishermen listened. The other two decided to jump in and test the turbulent ocean.
They took a couple waves right on the head. It really yard sailed all their gear.
McVan tells me he and Austin sprang into action to save them. Luckily, one of the men got out on his own. The other was getting slammed against the rocks.
Asked if he was all right, tried to make sure that he understood what was going on. He was really kind of disoriented, had been shaken up by the whole ordeal. So we started waving our arm to try and start to get medics going. He was pretty injured. So we put the can underneath of his arms, and you can see in the video that I take a couple waves on the head.
McVan and his partner were able to get the man to safety and checked out by medics.
The friend that was able to get out of the water walked up to me, and he said to me, I know that this probably isn't what you want to hear, but I'm so sorry. We should have listened to you.
While he tells me it's not his job to say, I told you so.
But at the end of the day, when the lifeguards come up to you and have that conversation, it's not because, like I said earlier, we're trying to be the fun police. It's just because we have been watching the conditions. We see it change over the course of the day. If we're saying to you, hey, today's probably not the day, we're being very serious.
A serious piece of advice from this lifeguard with more storms on the way. If you're ever in doubt, don't go out.
In Texas, they are using high tech to fight wildfires after the biggest fire in state history last year. Cameras with AI technology that can detect wildfires were installed throughout the Texas Panhandle. Abby Molina has that story.
The Pano AI wildfire detection cameras can see more than 10 miles with a 360-degree view, giving first responders a way to detect smoke and fire 24/7. Wes Reeves with Excel Energy says these cameras have been helpful for first responders in ways they didn't even thought about.
They're getting a lot of situational awareness around their region. They're even looking at the sky, for instance. I mean, they're seeing what the sky is doing, what clouds are doing. They're getting a really good look at the fuels.
Reeves says these cameras save first responders time, and it allows them to assess the amount of people they send to help.
If 2 camera sites pick up the same fire, you get exact coordinates because they're triangulating and they can zero in right exactly where it is. So this helps the area fire departments, for instance, very much because they can determine what do I need to respond to this. Do I send 1 crew out, or is this something I need to send multiple crews out?
Although the cameras are designed to protect Excel systems, these also serve as a tool to protect the land and save lives.
There was a big fire that broke out at Lake Meredith, near Lake Meredith, and the Pano AI site, 2 of the camera sites, picked that fire up about 15 minutes or 20 minutes in advance of when the dispatch was made. So at that time, we had very few users because they were brand new. So we expect to see a lot more benefit as we have more cameras this year and we have these first responders signed up for it.
Reeves says they are planning to install more cameras in the Texas Panhandle, South Plains, and parts of New Mexico as well.
As we mentioned earlier, this season's busy travel days are ahead, with lots of people expected to fly during the long Thanksgiving weekend. Meteorologist Violet Skybor shows us how the weather is with us every step of the way from takeoff to landing.
How does the weather, specifically the wind, affect flights? It's not only what we see at the surface, but further aloft that can cause issues. First, starting with the takeoff. Let's say your plane is flying from east to west along the runway. When we have headwinds or winds that are blowing towards the east, towards the front of the plane, that can actually make takeoff easier. But what's called tailwinds, winds blowing in the same direction the flight is trying to take off, that can actually cause some issues. If they're around 10 to 15 miles per hour, the flight itself has to switch a runway flying towards the wind, so becoming a headwind if they flip around the direction. An even bigger problem, though, comes from crosswinds. These are winds that are perpendicular, either from the north or the south, to the direction that the flight is taking off. And if they get up to 30 to 40 miles per hour, that can delay the flights, potentially even cause cancellations if the winds don't ease or change direction. Now, further aloft, when the flight is in the sky, we can see issues from what's called the jet stream, a narrow band of strong wind in the upper atmosphere, usually around 110 miles per hour, but can get up to 250 miles per hour, which is enough to delay or cancel flights, or can lead to a longer flight path if the flight has to go around it. We have 2 jet streams, the polar jet and the Pacific jet, which usually travel from west to east across the country. But with fluctuations in the temperatures, we can see them wobble, which means it's not always a straight shot from west to east, and flights have to go around these jets. Now let's use an example of going from New York City over to Los Angeles. The departing flight will take about 5 hours, but the flight back will take 4 hours, a bit shorter as you're traveling along that jet stream. Keep in mind, though, longer flight times occur when avoiding severe weather systems and extremely strong jet streams. So those are things that can impact your flights these upcoming holidays.
Climate change isn't just about warmer temperatures and rising sea levels. It's also making our air harder to breathe. This week in our podcast, Off the Radar, meteorologist Emily Gracie sat down with the pulmonologist to learn how air quality, wildfire smoke, and longer allergy seasons are impacting our lung health. Here's a preview of that episode.
Dr. David Buther has been treating lung patients for years, and over time he's watched something shift. Increasingly, his patients are staying inside, not because their disease has gotten worse, but because the air outside has.
I'm starting to see their quality of life and their joy going downhill because of the climate and the weather and challenges that they face.
We talk about climate change in terms of degrees and disasters, melting ice caps, rising seas. But there's another story unfolding, one that's literally taking our breath away. And it's happening right now in examination rooms across the country where doctors are prescribing something they never thought they'd have to: stay inside. This week, we're going off the radar to talk with a pulmonologist about the air we breathe and what happens when we can't.
As a physician, I'm supposed to have that cape on and go be a hero and fix things, and I can't always fix this.
And you can find our podcast Off the Radar anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts. New episodes drop every Tuesday. And here's a bit of cuteness for your Friday. A police drone pilot in Florida captured video of a family of manatees swimming alongside a playful dolphin. It happened in the Manatee River, no less. The rare glimpse of Florida's marine wildlife in action comes during Manatee Awareness Month. That's when boaters are urged to be extra cautious as manatees migrate to warmer waters around that state. And time now for a short break. But first, we take to the skies over northern Michigan and Lake Duvernay.
Good Friday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. We are going to be very wet for the southern half of the Midwest for the day today into the Ohio Valley. So the southern plains and the Ohio Valley definitely wet today and temperatures staying pretty cool. The rain does kick out early tomorrow morning. Still kind of lingers a little bit in the Ohio Valley in the morning. Then we are dry for the rest of your Saturday and Sunday for most of the Midwest here. And temperatures warming up a little bit more for us by Sunday.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. Temperatures a little cool for our friends in El Paso at 43. Same thing for Amarillo. Into Midland, we're into the 40s, warm and humid, and some rain down toward the south. Cold front pushing across the state of Texas today, bringing some scattered showers to the south. A weak push of cool air to the north will bring refreshing weather there. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia, and that's a look at your regional weather.
I'm George Waldenberger with your forecast for the western United States. You take the drive from Reno across California to San Fran, you only warm up from 48 to 63 degrees. And not only in that short stretch, it's really across the entire west, that small temperature spread. We have a storm system over the southwest, rain over Southern California, snow over the mountains, including Big Bear and the mountains above Palm Springs. That's the scene from out here.
I'm meteorologist Paul Poteet at Local 12, WKRC in Cincinnati, Ohio. And you are watching the National Weather Desk.
Time for a look at the weekend in football and the weather you can expect. Here's meteorologist Katie Morgan.
Well, it's a big weekend in college football. It's a big rivalry weekend, that is. Let's start on the East Coast. The 150th matchup of Harvard-Yale football. This one in New Haven, Connecticut. We're looking at temperatures in the upper 40s for kickoff. Sunshine expected to the south at Duke, North Carolina, and Chapel Hill. Sunshine and mid-70s at kickoff, and Cal at Stanford. Temperatures in the mid-50s. Under a mainly clear sky with an evening matchup. To Sunday we go in the Midwest. We'll see Vikings at the Packers. Green Bay 50 at kickoff with plenty of sunshine. Steelers looking good in Chicago as well with low 50s. And nice in Kansas City, Missouri. Chiefs at home taking on the Colts with a partly cloudy sky. Hope everyone is having a great start to your Friday and an even better weekend. I'm meteorologist Katie Morgan.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great Friday. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you right back here on Monday.